There comes a moment in your life when silence gets louder, when comfort starts to suffocate you, when you realize, deep in your gut, that the version of you that brought you this far can't take you any further. And in that moment, not a daydream, not a late-night thought, but a reckoning, something shifts. You're no longer fooled by your old habits, your excuses, or the fake confidence you wear like armor. You see it all for what it is, a disguise, a mask you've outgrown. This isn't a motivational speech. I'm not here to inspire you. I'm here to wake you up. Because the truth is brutal, but necessary. If you want to evolve, to rise, to become what you're capable of becoming, you must kill the old version of yourself. Not slowly, not politely, but with absolute clarity. The version of you that avoids the hard conversations, that breaks promises to yourself, that lives for distractions. He has to go, and only you can pull the trigger. This is the beginning of your rebirth. But first, there has to be a death. So the question is, are you ready to kill the old you, or are you still negotiating with him? Who is the old version of you? He's the version you rarely speak about, but you feel him in every quiet moment. He's the ghost that haunts your habits, the echo in your mind when you hesitate, when you break another promise to yourself, when you stay in bed even though your soul is screaming to move. He's shaped by fear, molded by years of avoiding pain, discomfort, and challenge. He was trained to survive, not to thrive. His entire identity was built around doing just enough to not drown, but never learning to swim towards something greater. He's the one who plays it safe, who trades growth for comfort, and who says, maybe one day, knowing damn well that one day never comes. This old version of you is addicted, not just to scrolling or dopamine hits or bad food or laziness, but addicted to who he thinks he is. He clings to an identity that was formed from your lowest moments. He wears your trauma like a name tag and your past mistakes like armor. Every time life gave him the chance to grow, he whispered, "I'm not ready." And every time he felt the urge to rise, he found a distraction to make the feeling go away. He avoids discomfort at all costs. Discomfort is the enemy because discomfort means confronting the truth, and the truth terrifies him. So he builds his days around avoidance, not purpose. He'll clean his desk instead of write his story. He'll reorganize his apps instead of delete the ones that waste his time. He'll make vision boards but won't take one step toward execution. The old version of you doesn't want results. He wants to look like he's working. He wants to feel productive without actually being dangerous. He seeks validation. Every action is tied to how others will perceive it. Will they like me if I do this? Will they think I'm disciplined if I post this? Will they approve if I choose this path? He doesn't live from within. He's a slave to the gaze of others. His confidence is paper thin because it's built on public applause, not private mastery. And yes, he procrastinates. But not because he's lazy. No, he knows what he should do. He just can't bear the weight of starting. Starting means he might fail. Starting means he'll expose his lack of discipline. So he delays, overthinks, justifies. He'll say he's planning. He'll say he's not in the right mental space. But deep down, you know the truth. Procrastination is just fear dressed up as strategy. You know this man. He's still with you. He was with you this morning, telling you to snooze the alarm. He was there yesterday when you said you'd start tomorrow. He's there every time you promise to change and don't. Every time you break your own word. Every time you waste an hour doing nothing meaningful. Every time you talk more than you execute. This version of you is seductive because he offers comfort, familiarity. He whispers, "We've made it this far, haven't we?" He reminds you of how hard your past was and uses it as a reason to rest, not as fuel to go further. He tells you that you've done enough, when deep down, you know you've barely scratched the surface of your potential. And worst of all, he dreams big but lives small. He talks about changing his life, but his actions are on autopilot. He writes goals but forgets them by next week. He reads books, takes notes, feels inspired, but nothing changes. Nothing sticks. He's always waiting. Waiting for motivation. Waiting for a better time. Waiting for confidence. Waiting for permission. He's a master of excuses. He tells you that you're too tired to train, that you don't have time to build your side hustle, that no one will watch your videos, that you're too late, too early, too busy, too unsure. He's the voice in your head that always has a reason not to act. And he's damn convincing. But here's the truth, the part that hurts. He isn't real. He's a construction, built from fear, survival, and repetition. He's not who you are. He's who you became to cope with the world, to deal with rejection, pain, disappointment. But now, he's not helping you. He's holding you hostage. This old version of you is an imposter, not because he's fake, but because he's not you anymore. You've outgrown him. But every time you act like him, think like him, speak like him, you pull yourself back into a cage you were never meant to stay in. Let's get honest. The old you complains about his life, but does nothing about it. The old you blames others, blames the economy, blames his parents, blames society. He'll blame the algorithm, the weather, the phase of the moon, anything but himself. Responsibility terrifies him because if he admits he's in control, then he has no more excuses. The old you is fragile. The smallest inconvenience breaks his focus. A single mean comment ruins his day. One failure, and he gives up. He folds under pressure. He can't handle silence, boredom, or effort. He chases short-term pleasure and wonders why he feels empty. But the most dangerous thing about him? He knows you could be more, and he doesn't care. He knows you have potential. He knows what you're capable of, and he still chooses comfort. He still chooses smallness. He still chooses to scroll instead of create, to watch instead of act, to talk instead of build. That's the version you must kill. This isn't symbolic. This is survival. Because the longer you keep him alive, the more of your life he will consume. You can't negotiate with him. You can't outsmart him. You must bury him. Burn the version of you that's addicted to comfort. Erase the identity that was built on limitation. Destroy the habits that feed his power. He's already dying every time you act with discipline. Every time you do what you said you would do. Every time you keep your word. Every time you say no to the easy road. Every time you choose silence over noise. Every time you shut up and work. But the final death blow? That only comes when you decide, fully, completely, and without looking back, that you will no longer be him. Not even a little. Not even on Sundays. Not even when things get hard. So let me ask you this. Are you still talking like the old you? Still moving like the old you? Still dressing, thinking, eating, reacting like the old you? Because if you are, then you haven't killed him yet. And until you do, the new you can't breathe. This isn't about motivation. It's about identity. You don't need more goals. You need to stop being the person who never finishes them. You need to become the person who is worthy of the life you keep imagining. And that starts with a funeral. Not a slow one. A clear one. Brutal. Honest. No eulogy, no goodbye, no second thoughts. Just truth. Just action. Just you, reborn through discipline, not desire. The old you is scared. He should be, because his time is up. So the question is, will you keep feeding him? Or will you finally kill that old version of yourself? Why must he die? Because he is in the way. That old version of you, the one built for comfort, not challenge, cannot come with you. He can't be upgraded. He can't be coached. He must be buried. There's no room for negotiation here. Transformation demands a sacrifice. Evolution demands loss. You can't build a new life while dragging the corpse of your past behind you. That old you was built by fear, shaped by doubt, and cemented by repetition. His loyalty is not to growth, but to survival. His job was never to help you thrive, only to keep you safe. And safe is the enemy of progress. We often speak about growth like it's a gentle rising, a peaceful unfolding. But that's a lie comfort tells you to keep you where you are. Real growth is violent. It's chaos before clarity. It's ripping away layers of yourself that no longer serve the man you're becoming. It's burning the masks you wore to be accepted. It's killing the reflexes you developed to cope. It's mourning a self that felt familiar but was never truly you. The man you were, the one shaped by hesitation, procrastination, fear. He cannot be allowed to breathe in the life you're building. His presence contaminates everything. You can't evolve and cling to who you used to be. You can't grow and stay comfortable. You can't stay in the shallow end and expect to develop the lungs of a deep diver. You have to go under. You have to drown the boy to let the man breathe. Maybe you've tried before. Maybe you've changed jobs, moved cities, cut your hair, deleted numbers. But did you really change? Or did you just change the costume? Because the old self is clever. He knows how to hide in new routines. He'll let you feel different while keeping you exactly the same. He survives through delay. Through maybe tomorrow. Through, I'll do it when I feel ready. He survives because you haven't looked him in the eyes and told him, you're done. It's not about hating who you used to be. It's not about shame. He was doing his best. He was protecting you. but his job is over. And he's not equipped for the war you're about to fight. Because that's what growth is, a war. Between who you've been and who you're becoming. Between what's easy and what's necessary. Between comfort and purpose. You can't bring a shield into this new life. You need a sword. You can't keep playing defense. You need to go on the attack. That means dismantling the beliefs that kept the old self alive. The belief that discomfort is bad. The belief that failure defines you. The belief that perfection is required before action. The belief that you need approval to move. All of it, it must be dismantled, burned, left behind. Because you can't build a new life with the tools of your past. The habits, the routines, the thought patterns, they've all been forged by an old operating system. If you try to install a new identity on top of that foundation, it will collapse. Like trying to build a fortress on sand. You need bedrock. And to find bedrock, you have to dig deep, past the excuses, past the narratives, past the stories you've told yourself about what's possible. This process isn't glamorous. It won't look good on Instagram. It happens alone when no one is watching. When it's dark and quiet and your own voice is the only one you can hear. That's when the old self whispers. He tells you it's too late, that you're too broken, that you'll never change. That's when you have to choose, silence him or surrender to him. Most people surrender. They listen to that voice and call it realistic. They shrink their dreams to match their doubts. They settle into lives they never wanted, simply because they never had the courage to burn the bridge behind them. But you're here for a reason. Something in you knows there's more. Something in you is tired of living half alive. That something, that fire, is your future self calling. And he's saying, kill him. Not with hate, with purpose, with precision. You don't need to scream. You don't need to rage. Just look the old self in the eyes, thank him for his service, and put him to rest. Mourn him if you must. Bury him with honor. But do not resurrect him. Not when you're lonely. Not when you're scared. Not when it's hard. Because it will get hard. And that's when he'll come knocking, offering you the comfort you used to crave. The distraction, the scrolling, the excuses. That's when you remind yourself, he's dead. See, we often romanticize the idea of transformation, but we forget what it costs. It costs your current identity. It costs your comfort. It costs the people who only knew you as weak. It costs your past. And the price is non-refundable. Once you pay it, there's no going back. You can't unsee the truth. You can't unknow your potential. You can't return to a smaller version of yourself and pretend it fits. The man you're becoming, he's waiting. Not in some distant future, but in the choices you make today. In the discipline you hold when no one's watching. In the decisions you make when fear is present. He's sculpted in the reps you don't want to do. In the early mornings. In the late nights. In the rejections. In the silence. In the persistence. But he can only emerge when there's space. And the old self takes up too much of it. He clings to old habits like armor. He delays. He blames. He avoids. He's addicted to safety. Addicted to being liked. Addicted to certainty. But certainty is a lie. There is no map for greatness. Only a compass. And that compass is built from clarity, conviction, and courage. The clarity to know what must be done. The conviction to stay the course when it gets hard. The courage to become someone you've never been before. And that courage, it can't coexist with the old self. He doesn't have the range. He folds under pressure. He rationalizes stagnation. He makes discomfort the enemy. He'll tell you that dreaming is enough. That thinking about change is change. That someday is a plan. He'll dress up avoidance as patience. He'll call fear being realistic. But don't be fooled. That voice is the enemy. You have to become violent with your evolution. Not externally. Internally. Ruthless. Uncompromising. Not in a way that shames you. In a way that demands truth. Because the truth is, if you don't kill the old self, he'll kill your future. Slowly. Quietly. With tiny compromises. With almosts. With tomorrows that never come. With excuses wrapped in logic. With comfort disguised as self-care. He'll convince you that you're making progress while you're standing still. That's the trap. And the only way out, the only escape, is death. The symbolic death of who you used to be. That means burning the blueprint. That means rewriting the rules. That means refusing to carry dead weight into a new chapter. You don't need more time. You don't need more motivation. You need a funeral. You need to bury the man who scrolls instead of acts, who plans instead of moves, who talks instead of builds, who fears more than he fights. That man, He's lived long enough. And his time is up. It's not easy. It never is. Death rarely is. But this is the death before rebirth. This is the end that makes way for a beginning. This is the necessary violence of transformation. And when the fire has settled, when the smoke clears, what's left is not a better version of the old you. It's someone entirely new. Someone who chooses discipline over distraction. Someone who creates instead of consumes. Someone who doesn't negotiate with fear, but uses it as fuel. Someone who moves with purpose. Someone who has killed the boy who waited and become the man who builds. Because greatness isn't found. It's forged. In fire, in pressure, in solitude. And the forge has no space for the old self, only for who you're becoming. So let him die, not with fear, but with fire in your eyes. Because what's waiting on the other side of that death is life. The life you were meant to live, not the one you settled for. Let him die, so you can finally live. Recognize his patterns. If the old version of you wants to survive, he hides behind masks. Disguise is so subtle, you barely notice them. He's clever. He speaks with your voice. He whispers through your thoughts. He's the one behind your delays, your excuses, your fears. He's not a villain with a sword. He's the whisperer in the dark. The longer you fail to recognize him, the longer he controls your fate. He is the saboteur, the victim, the doubter, the clinger. Four faces of the same force, resistance to growth. If you want to evolve, if you truly want transformation, not just talk about it, not just romanticize it, then you must learn to name him, expose him, stand before the mirror and call out the pattern. Because the man who can't name his enemy will never defeat him. And the man who doesn't see his own sabotage will confuse his own comfort for truth. The saboteur shows up when you say, "I'll do it later." He's soft-spoken, polite, even reasonable. He tells you to rest. He tells you it's okay to start tomorrow. He never screams. He doesn't force you to quit. He simply seduces you into delaying. And every time you believe him, your potential rots a little more. You tell yourself it's just one more day, but it's not. It's the pattern, the loop, the psychological rust that eats away at your integrity. The saboteur knows you're capable. That's why he distracts you. He doesn't deny your power. He just buries it under delay. What he fears most is that you start now, that you begin without perfect conditions, without waiting for motivation, without needing to feel like it. The saboteur feeds on your perfectionism, on your longing for certainty, on your hope for the right time. But there is no right time. There is only now. The longer you entertain the saboteur, the more you betray your future self. Eventually, you'll wake up one day and realize you became exactly what you swore you wouldn't. Someone who talks about their dreams more than they build them. Then there is the victim. He says, "It's not my fault." He shrugs at responsibility. He wears the wounds of the past like armor. He blames his parents, his circumstances, the system, the weather, his childhood, anything but himself. The victim is comfortable in helplessness. It gives him an identity. He finds meaning in pain, but not in a transformative way. He uses it as proof that he's allowed to stay stuck. He points at others who have it easier. He lists reasons why change is harder for him. And you know what? Maybe he's right. Maybe your path is harder. Maybe the pain is unfair. But the truth is this. If you keep telling yourself you are powerless, you'll never discover your power. The victim isn't lying to you. He's just afraid of what responsibility really means. Because responsibility doesn't just mean accepting fault. It means accepting your ability to shape your future. It means owning your part in the mess, even when it wasn't all your fault. It means no more hiding behind pain. The victim would rather be right than free. But growth isn't about being right. It's about being real. And being real means you take control even in broken circumstances. Because no one is coming to save you. And if they did, you wouldn't recognize the rescue. You'd push it away to protect your narrative. The doubter is perhaps the most dangerous. He says, "What if I fail?" His voice is quieter than the rest. More insidious. He doesn't yell, he asks questions. Subtle ones. Logical ones. He makes fear look like wisdom. He tells you to be cautious. He reminds you of past failures. He shows you statistics. He plays devil's advocate. And he always assumes the worst. The doubter doesn't kill dreams with fire. He poisons them with hesitation. You think you're being prudent. You think you're protecting yourself. But you're really just avoiding risk. And without risk, there's no growth. Every step into a new life is a step into uncertainty. You cannot become someone new while demanding constant reassurance. The doubter pretends to be a realist, but he's just afraid of pain. He's scared of embarrassment. He's terrified of what people will say if you try and fail. But here's what the doubter forgets. Failure isn't the opposite of growth, it's the path to it. Every master was once a beginner. Every legend has a history of loss. If you only move forward when you feel certain, you'll never move at all. The doubter would rather you live a small, predictable life than dare something grand and risk being hurt. But your soul wasn't built for smallness. It aches for expansion. It burns for evolution. You will suffer either way, through the pain of risk or the slow decay of safety. Choose your suffering wisely. And then, there's the clinger, the hardest to let go. He says, I can't let go of this version of me. He doesn't sabotage with fear or doubt or blame. He sabotages with nostalgia. He romanticizes the past. He defends the old self like an old friend. He reminds you of all the things that once made sense, all the habits that used to work, all the identities you spent years building. He tells you that if you let go of who you were, you're betraying something sacred. And in a way, he's right. Transformation is betrayal. It's a funeral for the old you. It's the painful tearing away from what once kept you safe. Growth means admitting that some parts of you must die, not because they were bad, but because they are now in the way. The clinger wants to hold on. He says, but this is who I am. No, it's who you were. And who you were is not enough for who you must become. The clinger makes you hesitate when it's time to pivot. He makes you cling to friends you've outgrown. He makes you defend mindsets that no longer serve you. He convinces you that identity is fixed. But the truth is, identity is fluid. You are not a statue. You are a river. And a river that refuses to flow becomes a swamp. You must let go, not out of cruelty to the past, but out of loyalty to the future. Because you cannot carry every version of you into the next chapter. Some must be buried. Some must be burned. Some must be grieved. These four patterns, the saboteur, the victim, the doubter, and the clinger, are not enemies outside of you. They are shadows within. They are the echoes of your old self trying to survive. And if you don't recognize them, you'll mistake them for truth. You'll think it's just how you are. You'll believe it's your nature. But it's not. It's conditioning. It's programming. It's the residue of a life lived on autopilot. You were taught to be these things. You were rewarded for it. Delaying made you feel safe. Blaming made you feel righteous. Doubting made you feel smart. Clinging made you feel loyal. But none of it makes you free. Freedom is brutal. It demands honesty. It demands sacrifice. It demands that you drag each of these patterns into the light and say, I see you. I know what you're doing. And I'm done playing small. You don't kill these patterns with motivation. You don't kill them with a YouTube video or a morning routine. You kill them with action, with the consistent, daily decision to do the opposite. When the saboteur says, I'll do it later, you do it now. Even when it's messy, even when it's imperfect, especially when it's imperfect. When the victim says, it's not my fault, you take responsibility. You own the mess. You claim your power. When the doubter says, what if I fail? You say, then I'll fail forward. And you keep walking. And when the clinger says, I can't let go, you say, then I'll grieve while I move. And you walk anyway. You don't wait for these voices to disappear. They won't. You just stop obeying them. Growth is not loud. It is not glamorous. It is not cinematic. Growth is quiet rebellion. It's waking up and choosing differently. It's becoming so aware of your patterns that they no longer own you. It's the refusal to stay trapped in the identity you built for survival. Because you're not here to survive. You're here to transcend. And transcendence requires war. Not against the world, but against the part of you that wants to stay the same. Every time you recognize a pattern, you reclaim your power. And every time you act against it, you lay a brick in the foundation of your new life. So pay attention. Observe yourself ruthlessly. Audit your habits. Study your reflexes. Become the scientist of your own evolution. Because transformation doesn't happen in one grand gesture. It happens in the 1,000 small betrayals of the old self. It's when you say no to what once defined you. It's when you stop trusting the voice that once sounded like safety. It's when you feel the pull of the past and walk forward anyway.